I would have started doing this when I was your age, honestly. You're so far ahead of the game by reaching out to entrepreneurs and doing these interviews and educating your following, that I can tell your future is very bright, just because of the how early in your age, you're doing this. When I was your age, I was pretty much doing what you were doing when you were 18. So,
welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. As always, I have a very special guest. I'm excited to dig deep into his story, talk to him, and learn from him. But before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Google, Apple, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I just want to ask you that if you get some value out of this interview, if you get something that you're going to take action on, some feeling, something, I want to ask you to please share it with one friend, since this is how we grow, this is how we share our message, and this is how we motivate, inspire, and bless other men, other entrepreneurs to change their lives. So today I have Ricardo Rosales. He's an entrepreneur, investor, wholesaler, seller, house flipper, landlord. And he was born in the United States, but he spent the majority of his time in Venezuela. So he's a Latino. That's being a Latino, right, man?
Yeah. Hispanic, Latino, however you want to call it.
Hispanic, Latino, yeah. And he's always been an entrepreneur ever since he was like 8 years of age. He worked with his father at his insurance company, and then he took a different course and joined the armed forces for 4 years. And after that, he ventured into the oil and gas business. And then he learned the value of like money, saving, investments. And right now he's a real estate beast. So Ricardo, I'm very grateful for you being here, man. Thank you very much for making some time and to be here. And you're welcome.
No, thank you so much for the invitation, Alex. I wish I would have started doing this when I was your age, honestly. You're so far ahead of the game by reaching out to entrepreneurs and doing these interviews and educating your following, that I can tell your future is very bright, just because of the how early in your age you're doing this. When I was your age, I was pretty much doing what you were doing when you were 18. So and I had a girl already, so she was born when I was 18. So now I never got into drugs heavily, because I was not around it, but I was around a lot of alcohol. So I started drinking when I was 12 years old. So I know a lot of those things that we go through as we're young. And basically I started very early, just like you did. So I had to figure out a way to make money when I was 18 and provide for my family, even though I was working for my father, and I've been working for my father for many years. He was kind of like still taking care of me in a way. I was his employee, and he will give me a car, he'll give me payments, and he'll call all of that a salary. But what he had created for me was a way for me to be dependent on him. And one day I had to break those chains off, and literally I just went on my own. I quit. I was probably 20 when I did that. I don't even know if I quit or I got fired. I could probably have an argument with him about that, but regardless, I wasn't working with him anymore. And trying to find myself is how I found the U.S. Navy. So I needed a paycheck. I needed a insurance for my daughter that I had. She had already been like 3 years old maybe. And I ended up in 2001 joining the U.S. Navy, went through boot camp, changed a lot of my ways on how I felt and thought about myself, and learned new skills, learned discipline, got rid of the alcohol and all that, because when you're going through boot camp, you can't do any of that stuff. Now, when you get back in the Navy, then later on, you'll find your way back into those bad habits if you want to. But that's a whole different story. So I did 4 years, served my country. And while I was in the Navy, I would see the rigs, the oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, because I was stationed down in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I would wonder how much money mechanics make on those rigs. So when you're in the military, you make just enough money to barely pay your bills, okay? And I was never the guy that wanted to do that. Like, I wanted more in life. And little did I know, 2 years in the Navy, I figured I didn't want to be there more than what my contract was up for, like, which was 4 years. And I started planning my exit strategy, like learning how to build a resume, learning how to, go to interviews, learning how to present myself. And the good thing is I had a very good school from my father, because he taught me the art of sales. So because I knew how to sell, I knew how to sell myself. But I still wanted to work on myself in order to get a good job in the oil and gas business, which, by the way, those are six-figure jobs, multiple six figures. And I saw these oil rigs and I said, man, if I can join one of those rigs, I wonder how much money mechanics make out there. Well, long story short, when my time was up, I got out of the Navy and I had 19 job offers in the city of Houston, where I live now. And that's how I ended up here in Houston, literally, is because I set my sights into, I'm going to get me a job in the oil and gas. I know all the companies are there. I didn't know anybody here, nobody, literally nobody. I didn't even like the city. Like, I would come here and I'm just like, man, this city is ugly. I still think this city is ugly. There's nothing pretty about Houston. But, many years later, I still find myself here with an office now and staff and my family and all that. Although I'm moving next year out of Texas. I'm very grateful to what I've done here in Texas, but it's time for me to change. And came here, took a job. Out of the 19 job offers, I took the lowest paid job. I had an offer for $100,000 a year working for a company I can't mention online. And then I had another offer, a bunch of different offers in between that one and the lowest paid job, which was $12.43 an hour to learn how to be a technician at a company called FMC Technologies at the time. And I took that job. I took the $12.43 an hour. My girlfriend at the time got mad at me because she's like, you must be dumb as hell. How are you going to pass up on $100,000 a year when you got all these other offers, you're taking the lowest bidder. And the thing is, when I was going through the interviews, I was not only being interviewed by the companies and the people that work for those companies, but I was interviewing the companies themselves. And I wanted companies that align with my core values. And I wanted companies where I could go to work and be happy. I didn't want to be miserable anymore. Because in the last couple of years in the Navy, I was pretty much miserable for the fact that you can't quit. You're forced to finish your term. And I didn't want to get out of that and go back to the same thing in the corporate world. And money to me wasn't like the driver. My driver was growth. And when I saw the opportunity that I saw at FMC at the time to grow, learn something new where I could apply my skills that I learned in the US Navy as a mechanic, learn a whole new subject, which was subsea engineering. I said, that's where I'm going to go. I don't care if it's only $12.43 an hour. I'm going to do my best. And I'm pretty sure the universe is going to find a way to reward me. And I was not wrong. 2 years later, I was making $200,000 a year, working 6 months out of the year all over the world. Became a top leader in that organization, and ended up working in places like Africa, Australia, Southeast Asia. I lived in Singapore for a year with them. And life was beautiful. I was making a ton of money doing something that I really liked, like, because I got to enjoy that job. I didn't mind being away. I would stay sometimes on the rigs 40 days, 30 days. I remember that. I think the most I did one time was 67 days straight, but I really like what I did. So that gave me the opportunity to put money away. And for the first time, I started experiencing what having a good job. And by the way, I know this is for entrepreneurs for the most part. I'm not a corporate hater. I'm not the guy that tells everybody needs to go start their own business and everybody can do it. That's bullshit. I'm telling you right now, not everybody is cut out for this life. Okay. We all get into a point of maturity to where we may decide to make the jump and become an entrepreneur, but some people, they're okay having a job, like doing a 9 to 5 and having that security of that paycheck. It's false security at the end of the day, because when you get fired or laid off, it goes away. But at least they know their paycheck is coming in 2 weeks. And if they can, some people get anxious about not knowing when their next paycheck is going to be, and they can't really operate, like they could. So if you have a W-2 job and you like it, keep going at it. Go find something that you really love and do that for the rest. Like teachers, most teachers, they teach because they like teaching. They don't teach for money, but teachers don't make a lot of money. And there's so many other professions, firefighters, like firefighters don't make a lot of money. They make it for the thrill of saving people and putting fires out. Even cops, even though once you become a cop later on in your life and you're like a detective or whatever, they make a couple of $100,000 a year. It takes 20 to 30 years to do that. So, I'm not a corporate hater. I do believe most people need to at least learn how to be an employee, because if in the future you're an entrepreneur and you can't be an employee, how are you going to lead employees in your company in the future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I did the oil and gas business until 2005. I started from 2005 to 2015. So about 10 years. Make good money, great life. I learned how to flip houses in 2008 when the meltdown happened. So I would watch TV shows on how to flip houses, and I said, man, if these guys can do it, I can figure that out. And while I have a good job, I can leverage my job, get loans for properties. I just need to learn how to find the properties, how to find the money, and then go hire contractors to do the job. And that's how I started flipping back in 2008, 2009. Since then, in between 2008 and 2009 and 2015, I probably did over 150 properties.
Damn.
While I had a job. I got rich on paper because it wasn't cash, it was on paper, on equity, while I had a job because I had a lot of rentals and I learned a trade. I learned something that if you don't have a job, it's hard to do, because you don't have that your bills are not covered, right? So you're doing it with pressure, and sometimes it works. Like I've seen for most people works, but I see 99% of the people that get in this business of the real estate investing, they get out. They don't make it. And it's because they don't have the foundations are not set up right. So I learned how to set my foundations throughout those years. And in 2015, one day I got called in and they said, Ricardo, by that time I was running an operation in the oil and gas business. I have more than 500 employees, $120 million a year in revenue. It was a big operation. And they said, hey, oil and gas is taking a dip right now, and we can't afford to keep you and your team. So we all got laid off that day.
Damn, holy shit.
The day
man.
I walked out of that building, now I used to make $260,000 a year at that time. And I also made bonuses on top of that. So I had a good job, and I didn't have to clock in or out. So that's why I said I'm not a corporate hater. I loved my job back then. Would I go back to that? Never. Why? Because I outgrew that, I started, and I was prepared to go take a leap of faith on myself when that happened. So literally when I got laid off, I was very thankful to them, number one, because they pay me very well. They gave me all the liberty in the world to do what I wanted. And And I said, guys, I understand this is a business decision. And that's it. I just got to go figure out on my own what I need to do. And literally I walked off that building and I got on the highway going back to my house. And I said, I will never be in a position like this ever in my entire life again, where somebody dictates how much money I make or when I make money or when I get paid. I didn't know how I was going to pull it off because I live like a guy that made a lot of money. So I had a big house. I have more cars than rappers do. Like I pay for my mom, for my wife, for my mother-in-law, for my daughter, for, oh my God, I had so many vehicles. It was unreal. I had a car and a truck because of the truck for the flipping business, you name it. A lot of bad decisions that I don't regret either, but if I had to do it different, I would have taken a different approach today. And at the time I had 3 flips that were out of budget. So I was already putting money out of my pockets to finish these deals. And then my wife was 6 months pregnant. And she didn't take it very well when she found out I was getting laid off. I actually had to take her to a hospital because she was having contractions and all that. But luckily nothing happened. And, I just made up my mind. I said, I'm going to go and flip houses. I'm going to go do this for a living. I don't know how. I know how to do it, but I just don't know how it's going to work out. And the good thing is when I left that company, they gave me a little bit of money so I could sustain myself for a few months. I also negotiated with my HR manager at the time. I told him about my situation. I said, look, man, your guys are laying me off today, but my wife is 6 months pregnant. Can you give me 4 more months of insurance paid by the company? That way I don't have to go into Cobra and pay a ton of money by using Cobra. And they said, yeah, no problems, whatever you want. No big deal. We take care of you. We got you. So luckily they cover all the way through the delivery of Maximo, who's my son, and that was born during that time. And then I got other stories I can get into, but I want to get forward onto how I started, into this real estate business and like at a big scale. So I had a group of friends that I had taught how to flip houses that were also W-2 guys. They were on my entourage in the company and all that. And when I got laid off, they all called me and said, hey, Ricardo, we got your back. Just tell us what we need to do and we'll go get more properties. So I became a general contractor at the time. And that's how I started paying my bills. I was a general contractor for my own projects. And I remember telling Jose, one of those guys, I said, look, Jose, we got 3 flips going on right now. But in order for me to pay my bills, we need to do at least 10 at a time. And his eyes got wide open and said, 10 flips, you must be out of your mind, dude. We're struggling with 3 right now with people, contractors, money, these and that. And I say, I get it, Jose, but you have a W-2 check. I don't. And the only way I can pay my bills is by having 10 properties running at the same time. Because I would pay $5,000 for myself per flip while I fix the property. So that was $50,000. My living expenses were $25,000 at the time. So if I did 10 flips, yeah, I'm not lying. So if I did 10 flips, now today is 5,000. I can live on $5,000. And I went to, if I spend more than 5, I went to like 3 restaurants that I wasn't supposed to like go. And anyhow, I changed my lifestyle a lot. But since then, do
you miss it or no?
Was that?
Do you miss that? Like spending a lot of money and just, living that life or no?
I mean, I still do, but I don't like, now it's a company expense and it's different, right? So,
okay.
So I don't need 25 grand for me. I only need 5 grand to pay for my house and my apartment and things like that, So vehicles are paid for right now. So I'm driving like 7 or 8 year old vehicles. I'm not driving the latest model. I could, but I just don't, that doesn't drive me anymore.
Yeah.
So like I used to be the guy that I had to have the latest BMW, the latest truck, the latest this and that. My truck right now has 140,000 miles. It's still brand new inside, but I think the vehicle that I had the most mileage with at some point was a Lexus I had, and that thing had like 80,000, and I thought it was old. So you start changing, right? You start changing many things. You start valuing things
So
different.
what drives you right now?
Growth. So we have today over 50 employees right now in my operation. My goal is to finish at about 150 by the end of the year. We got people in Venezuela for the most part. We're going to be opening a call center probably in Guadalajara, Mexico in Q3 or Q4. We're going to open up another one in Nicaragua probably maybe next year. I want to set the one in Mexico. I love Mexico, by the way. So the fact that you're there, it's amazing. I just spent I would say 3 or 4 weeks in Mexico City, and yeah, I love it. I love Mexico. I go to Mexico more than I go to Venezuela. Go figure. So, but yeah, it's growth, right? So now I'm scaling multiple businesses, and that's what drives me. Yeah, in terms you make money and you make this and that, but it's more about the security of what I'm building, making it real bust. In 2017, when we went from 2015 to 2017, we went from flipping 3 houses at a time to flipping 47 houses at a time. And at that time, Dennis, my ex-business partner, and we were making a lot of money. We were closing deals left and right. We were walking on water. That's when Hurricane Harvey hit. And that brought destruction to our business, literally. We lost all of our workforce because we were very heavily dependent on contractors and loans, because we had a lot of loans for all these deals, right? It was more than $15 million worth of loans. And when that happened, my workforce walks away because they're chasing work at a higher rate for them that I could afford. And before you know it, I have all these properties unfinished. I don't have any people to fix them, but I'm still paying $250,000 a month in loans. And that started draining our bank accounts. It started, got to a point to where I'm facing my lenders. I was like, guys, I don't have any more money. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And they're like, well, when are you going to pay me? I was like, whenever I finish these properties, but it's not looking good right now. And as a real estate investor, that's probably one of the last conversations you ever want to have with anybody. Your name gets completely trashed right away in the area you are, which is something that I never care for, because I don't care what anybody says about me. It's not something that I did to
like on purpose.
No, it wasn't in purpose. It was circumstances of the situation. Could I have done things differently? Many different ways. But, now that I look back, I'm like, okay, I could have done this different. I could have done that different. But okay, I guess I know that for the future. But because I had to change my whole business model, I don't even have to do that anymore, because I'm not in the business of flipping houses anymore. So I'm in the business of wholesaling, which is no liability. My only liability is marketing. So and that I can manage fairly easy. So anyhow, that's how we pivoted from flipping houses to wholesaling, because we needed to create a 7-figure operation just to get off the other stuff that we had in the past, clear our plate, and be able to move forward. And that wasn't easy to do. It took me a couple of years to do that. Today, thanks God, we're doing well. And now I started multiple businesses that are related to the wholesaling, but they're also in the marketing side that I can offer to other industries that are not necessarily related to real estate investing. But that's a little bit of my background. I lost more than $15 million. I was behind on my mortgage. I almost got my house foreclosed on. Although I knew how to get out of the problem, I literally saw it coming, and I said, okay, I'm gonna have to be ready to file for bankruptcy, which is one of the ways to stop foreclosure. And now bankruptcy, I had 3 attorneys tell me that I needed to file for bankruptcy, but I never thought I was bankrupt, even though my bank account said different. It was red in the towel, and I mean, it was like horrible. I never thought I was bankrupt. I just thought that I had a cash flow problem and that I was fixing my cash flow problem. And I remember telling one of the attorneys, he came to my office and said, Ricardo, you should file for bankruptcy, man. That way you can wipe all the data out, get rid of the predatory people. And I said, I'm never going to do that, man. I'm not bankrupt. I'm not going to file that thing in my credit report. And most of these loans are non-personal guaranteed. So I'm okay. I still want to do right by my lenders. Because the thing is, if I would have filed for bankruptcy, I would have screwed up a bunch of those guys. And I didn't want.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to tell you that this podcast has completely changed my life in ways that you could never imagine, and I would like the same for you. Look, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and the fastest way for you to level yourself up in every area of your life is for you to connect with people who are where you want to be, build relationships with them, and connect with them. The best way for you to do that right now in the digital age is for you to start your own podcast. And I just wanted to let you know that I have a free training that you can get free access to. It's called the 30-day Net Worth Skyrocketing 3-step podcast cloak track framework. And it's going to show you how you can start and automate everything in your podcast, from finding your ideal guest, getting them on an interview with you, and creating an automated content machine in just 30 days. By executing on this free training, you're going to be able to connect with high-level people, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem, in just 30 days with less than 1 to 2 hours per week, so that you can increase your net worth, your authority, your trust, your client acquisition ability, and your opportunity. So there's a special link for this free training in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
I do that. So we work with most of them, and I would say 95% of them work with me, and we were able to satisfy both parties. But there's always that 1% that you can never please, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
That's something I learned through that situation, that you can never please everybody. That it doesn't matter how hard you try. And if I would have known that before the situation, I would have actually stopped all the payments from day one. I would have never paid a dime on loans after the fact that I would have finished the properties. Because what really drained my pockets was paying all those loans throughout a few months until I ran out of cash, because I was trying to do the right thing for them. So anyhow, we did that, went through that, got a lot of bruises and scars out of that situation. But I learned a lot and I grew. Unfortunately, my business partner decided to kind of like go a different route, which is he's doing phenomenal today. We're still in touch. We talk all the time, and I actually encouraged him to go that route because that was his passion. What he's doing today, and literally, I was able to sort of dig myself out of that hole that I fell into, or I got myself into, because at the end of the day, I got myself into it. I went ahead and signed all the loans, and I bought all the properties. So yeah, the situation happened and kind of like put me in a bad spot, but I got myself into that situation. So I'm not the one that's gonna blame it on some storm or somebody else or whatnot. It was completely my fault, right? So
100%, yeah.
I was going through all of that, digging myself through it, and today we're doing much better. So we still got 3 properties that we have from that whole mess that we're cleaning up right now and finishing. But now the future is much brighter, and I'm happy to share my story with anybody that wants to understand how it is that I went through that. It was literally by self-development. It wasn't by anything else. I had worked on myself for so many years that, and this is true story, one morning, so I had this beautiful home. I still have it because I owner financed it to the new buyer. So I still technically the owner of the note, but I sold it to him. And before that, when I had no money, like literally, we didn't have money for gas, nothing. We were so financially depressed that it wasn't even funny, man. But I had a gym in my house. So I'm in my gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm lifting weights. I got Tony Robbins on TV. I'm having like my hour of power. And I'm working on my mental and my physical and my fitness and all that. And my wife opens up the door, and I can tell she just woke up, and she's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm exercising." "What does it look like?" "You need to go get a job." And I was like, what? Yeah, we don't have any money, not even for food, nothing. And you're here exercising, listening to Tony Robbins. I said, look, you ever tell me again to go get a job, we're going to get a divorce. I'll explain to you later what I'm doing. But right now, you need to go get back to bed. And she's like, she looked at me weird and she went back to bed. And I closed the door and I continued through the whole thing, right? And then later on, I go downstairs and she's making breakfast and I can tell she's mad because of what I told her. And she's like, what was that all about? I was like, look, you can't live in a house like this if I go get a job. You can't drive the vehicle you got if I go get a job. We're never going to be rich like you want to be if I go get a job. Now we can live a good life, but honestly, I don't want a job because now I kind of like got used to working for myself now. So clocking in and out, it doesn't work for me anymore. And she's like, yeah, but you should be making money. So I said, look, I'm doing my best, but I'm not going to let my current circumstances, dictate how I operate. I'm doing everything I need to do every day in order to get out of the hole. And in order for that, I need to continuously work on myself. I can't let myself go because if I do, that's where I fail. And that's where I'll never get back on top. I'll never get back to even being a bigger person than the one I was before. And at that point, she understood my point and she's like, I get it. No, don't worry about it. Forget what I said. Keep on pushing. Because that's another thing. She's always been my supporter. So
before our call, before like we started the podcast, you said you were like part of 5 masterminds. Can you talk a little bit about
I'm on the family reunion. I'm on the hustlers mastermind. I got my own masterminds, the real estate entrepreneurs mastermind. So yeah, I literally pay myself into a lot of groups. I think I'm in too many masterminds right now, and I don't even have time to like attend all of the different ones that I'm a part of. So I feel like I may be wasting some money in some of those because I'm not attending those. And I was just last week in Tampa, Florida at the family reunion. So yeah, I'm in a few masterminds and the stuff that you learn inside these groups is amazing. So I wish I would have been a part of a mastermind back when I was going through all of that, because I think a lot of my problems would have been solved a lot easier if I would have surrounded myself with the right group of people. But at the time I was operating on my own. So I didn't see the value of those groups. I do now. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So man, you say you have your own mastermind. It's called Real Estate Entrepreneur.
Yeah. I have the Real Estate Entrepreneurs event and mastermind. And we actually I did 2 events last year, one in May and another one in October. Bradley actually came to my first event in the one in May, and then Jorge Valdez, who used to be the head of the Medellin cartel in the US in the 80s, came to my mastermind in October in Miami.
Nice.
So this year we'll have my next event is in June 24th and 25th in Houston, Texas. I'm still working out the details on who my keynote speaker is going to be, but I'm going to have a bunch of guys that are all badass. So it's all real estate related for the most part. And yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. Awesome, man. So like your event is going to be in June. Are you going to do 1 or are you going to do 2 again?
I'm doing 1 right now, man. It takes a lot of money, a lot of effort. Is like having another job, pulling on an event together. Okay. There is a lot to organize, a lot to negotiate with hotels, and or the venue that you're selecting for your event. So I'm gonna do 1, and then what I do is every time I do an event, literally, the very next day after the event is over, I come back to my office and I go through all the lessons learned.
Yeah.
What did I learn from this event that I just closed out? And I start planning the next one. But I have better vision on how my second event is gonna be because of the one event that I just closed. And so I don't want to commit to 2 events in this year because I don't know. I may just help somebody else out, do an event or something like that, because I own all my equipment and all that stuff, stage, screens, speakers, sound, the whole 9 yards. But it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to pull an event together. So, and then money, they're not cheap. They're not cheap to do, especially if you're doing in a fancy hotel, and it has to be like, if I do it, it's got to be done right. I don't like half-assing things. And I go for the best that I can get myself into, and because I want people to continue to come back, for me, doing an event is an experience. So on the first one, I had Brad Lee, and it was a great experience for most of my VIP people, because they got to hang out with him. They got their phone number, now, and some of those guys went on to doing business with him now. They're business partners. In the second one, we had Jorge Valdez. He was in my room with his wife and my wife and a couple of other guys, drinking until 4 o'clock in the morning, just exchanging, wisdom, and then we rented 3 yachts in Miami, and we were out in Miami on a yacht party on a Sunday. So I do value a lot those events and those masterminds, but they do cost a lot of money to put together. So because I do them to where they're high end, they're not low quality or anything like that.
Cool. Yeah, man. So then you do a lot of real estate deals then, right?
Yes, we do a lot of deals.
And do you also like teach people how to do deals?
We do, although I don't focus necessarily on newbies.
Okay.
I am creating something for newbies to where they can do it like online, and they can get some experience in order for me to take him to the next level. Because what's happened to me is because of all my experiences throughout the few, I started in 2008. So in reality, I'm a 13-year overnight success, right?
Yeah.
And I've had ups and downs, and I lost a lot of money, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. I had to face a bunch of things that people don't ever want to face in their life. So that's giving me the I guess the experience to show others an easier or a better route for them. And what happened to me was in the last 2 or 3 years, I've attracted a lot of guys that are already operating in the space.
Okay.
They want to learn how to make a business out of what they have. See, most wholesalers today, they're hustlers, but they're not. They call themselves CEOs and all these things. They're not one.
They're solopreneurs.
I mean, what's an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
An entrepreneur is somebody that starts something new and just finds a way to make a living out of it, right? But that doesn't mean that business is automated. Like they still, if you step away from your business today, can that business run? That's the question.
That's the goal, right?
Well, that's not that. I'm asking the question not to you, but to your audience, right? So if you walk away from your business today, can that business run and still produce without you in it? And that 99% of the people will say no. If I step away, that goes away, because it's still effort related. It's still very, very personal related. If I'm not in it, it won't work. So I learned that long time ago. That's why every time I start a venture, I want to scale it as fast as I can. That way it doesn't have to depend on me. It runs on its own. So my wholesaling operation today runs on its own. I still get involved because I like it. I like helping my guys. I like coaching them, helping them negotiate deals and, selecting new systems and building systems in place and things of that nature. But honestly, I think today, if I step away, my wholesaling operation will survive without me. Somebody will have to be designated as the head of it, which pretty much would be my wife or something like that. And she's kind of like in the business as well. Is it where I wanted it to be? No, it's not there yet. But it will get there. So I teach a lot of guys that have experience how to build the foundation for their business. That way, eventually they can automate it
and get to the next level. Yeah.
And get to the next level. So we do teach new people, but I'm very selective on who I teach, because in this day and age, I don't have that much time. And if I'm going to give my time to somebody, that person needs to be coachable, needs to be open to do what I tell them to do. And 99% of the new people are not like that. They say they are, but they're not. If I hire you as my coach and you say, Ricardo, you got to do 10 sets of 10 reps of squats with 50 pounds. And I'm like, no, I don't think I can do that. I'm just going to do 5. That's it. I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or I start questioning you or saying, why should I do 10 sets of 10 reps of squats with 50 pounds? Why? Well, how is that going to help me? And so there's all the newbies, they got all these
Limiting beliefs, doubts.
It's limiting beliefs, doubts, and they want to question everything they're going to go pay for because that's how they're programmed. So unfortunately, that's how it is. So I want to get newbies, but I want to teach them to where they learn on their own on my platform. And when now some of those limiting beliefs, some of those doubts, and some of those things are gone, now I can help them go to the next level because now they're more coachable. So
yeah.
And I can tell you right now, people that are very hard to deal with, nothing against these people, CPAs, engineers, they're framed to be in a box and they're framed to like literally question everything. Why this is like this. And that's their job. Their job is to question things. Otherwise, how is an engineer going to go build a building or something if he doesn't question the quality of the material? But those are the guys that are the toughest to teach because they are framed for that. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have a CPA that's a student of mine right now, but he was already outside the box and he was already making $1 million plus a year, but he wanted to get out of being a hustle into being a business owner. And I said, okay, I can help you do that. Now that you've shown me that you're not in a box. And so shout out to Chris Silvas. He's somewhere in Houston.
Cool. So Ricardo, we're almost out of time right now, man. And I have 5 questions. I end my interviews with 5 questions.
Let's do it.
So can I go ahead and ask you the first one?
Let's do it.
Man, so if you could give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would you say? Not redo your life or like go back. No. Like just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would you say?
Man, it's hard because I'm not going to, I don't want to change anything that I've done. I haven't done anything that I regret, number one. I enjoyed being a 20-year-old. Literally, I partied my ass off and I remember those days and I was happy. Now, I don't know what I was celebrating because I was broke as hell, but maybe I would have said start working on self-development more back then. That would have been the thing. If I had to teach myself something, if I could travel back in time, I would say, Ricardo, do more self-development, which is something people told me to do, but I didn't do it because I was hard-headed.
Work on yourself, right?
Yeah, work on myself, self-development.
Cool. Awesome, man. So the second question is around a mindset shift. So like, what is one mindset shift that has allowed you to like get to where you are right now in which like you're literally a CEO, not just like a hustler or you can step, out of your business and it will still run without you. So like, what's a mindset shift that you have that you can share that's allowed you to get to where you are right now?
Yeah, there's people that can do it better than I do.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Delegating.
Delegating.
And empowering.
It's so hard.
Them.
It's so hard for entrepreneurs to let go, huh?
It's very hard because you can do it better than anybody else, right? So
you think you can do it better than anybody else, right?
Or you can do the best you can. You're gonna solve it and you're gonna make it happen. But when you delegate and you empower, that's when you grow. Cool.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what I'm experiencing right now with my podcast. Like I literally don't do anything other than just show up.
That's great. Like, that's
notes and everything is like taken care of. And it turned out that like I actually built this. So that's why I said, I help entrepreneurs start, build, launch, grow, monetize, and automate a multi-million-dollar network building podcast, right? Because so like I have a system. It's really cool. I built it. Like some of those stories of entrepreneurs that like just do something because they love it, like because it's their passion, and all of a sudden it turns to be something that everybody, like a lot of other people want. That's what like that was like my story. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty like it feels pretty cool, man. That you can literally not do anything and still have things running, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got a marketing team with over 9 people now, and they do everything on my podcast. Don't get me wrong, I still build my studio. Like I enjoy that. Right now, if I can switch my computer, you will see I have a badass brand new table. I have Black Magic cameras on them. I'm running all the cables through it. I got roadcasters and things like that. All everything interconnected on a table because I want to have it mobile around my office. So I'm building in the next office, like next door to my office, a new podcast studio. But that's the only thing I do. Once I show up, I just press play and sit down, interview my guest, and then my guys do the rest.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see, mindset. So I have this framework of mindset map, the 5 M's of success. I think it's Brad Lee's actually. I heard from Brad Lee like years ago, and then I was like, I started using it. Mindset map, motion, measure, money. So like if you want money, if you want results across all areas of your life, there's 4 things that you gotta get right, which is the mindset, which we talked about, the map, the motion, the measure. If you got those 4 right, you'll get the money. If for some reason you're not getting the results that you want, you got to go back most of the time to the mindset, right? I asked you something about mindset. You said delegating, letting go, right? There's people out there that can do it, that can do the work that you think you are the only one that can do. So for map, clarity, man, like what is like, do you have any piece of advice when it comes to like being clear, clarity around like what
write down
want?
goals. You have to write down your goals, and not only you got to write down your goals, but you got to write the map up on how you're going to get to those goals, right? So I highly recommend a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. It's boring as hell, but that's what's going to help you drive that roadmap in your business. And they have a tool in there called the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer. The Vision Traction Organizer, it's the tool that operates under the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is something that was designed by these people from Traction, right? So if you learn how to build a VTO, a Vision Traction Organizer, you're always going to be able to find your holes in the business, where you're lacking, where your KPIs are, like key performance indicators, where you can improve, where you're doing good, actually, you can see that. So that's going to be the foundation to your business and the way you're going to build your roadmap more efficiently. So yeah, I would highly suggest you get that book, learn how to use the VTO tool, and it won't be perfect the first time you do it, but in time you'll perfect it.
Yeah, awesome, man. So let's see, for motion, what is one habit that you think has to contribute to your success?
Keep on moving. Motion, like you just said, in motion creates emotion, right? I learned that from Tony Robbins. And I tell people all the time, when I was going through my downfall, I was losing all this money, and I had, literally my world is coming to an end because of everything. I'm losing everything that I worked so hard for. I tell people, if you're going through hell, are you going to stop in the middle of it? No, just keep on moving and run as fast as you can and get the hell out of hell, right? Yeah. So I tell, motion creates emotion. I learned that from Tony. And when I was going through that, I just said, I just got to keep on moving. I got to figure out a way to put food on my table. I got to figure out a way to put bills. But me thinking, relaxing, and maybe analyzing, it's just going to drive me into analysis paralysis. I just got to take action and figure a way on how to keep moving forward. And that's what I did. So it doesn't matter what happens to you. We're all going to lose at some point. Okay. This is the game of life. It's not a game of winning. It's actually a game of losing. And the one that loses the most is the one that ends up winning. So it's like Nintendo. You remember Mario Bros, right?
Yeah.
How many times did you fall down before you got to that final dragon or whatever the hell it was? I don't remember what it was, but many times.
A bunch of times.
Try, and hours wasted on that thing in front of the TV trying to play that Nintendo game, right? So it's no different. That's what life looks like.
Cool. Yeah, I agree, man. Keep moving forward, despite of how things are looking, how bad things are looking. So measure. So what do you think about tracking and measuring?
Tracking KPIs, key performance indicators, that tool that I just told you about by Gino Wickman. Awesome. Not only has your roadmap, but it also has a tracking device. Like you have to build what is called a scorecard. And with scorecards, you can track how your team is doing, how you're doing, if you're on track or not to your goals. If your goals are too high, maybe you're literally shooting for the stars. And you know what? Why don't we set some lower goals? That way we can get to the 7th floor first before we can take off and fly, right? So, you have to track everything, all the activities. I track everything I do, how many messages I sent out, how many people I talk to, how, depending on the sales process. If you're not tracking those things, you don't know if you're doing well or you're doing bad, other than making money. Okay. Making money, a lot of people can make money.
Yeah.
But the truth is, once you start tracking those things, then you can see how you're failing in not making more money or not growing bigger, because you're like, man, I'm actually working half-assed. I'm drinking 3 times out of the week. I'm going to play golf on Thursdays. I'm doing this thing where I could be focused on tracking these numbers and making sure these things are taking, my team is growing in a different direction. So by running KPIs, that's what's really gonna help you see where you are, so you can improve where you want to go.
Awesome. Yeah, I tracking is everything. That's how you are able to see, the mistakes. Just take a step back, and that's how you can go away from being emotional, right? Instead of actually looking at data.
Yeah, I had to fire somebody a month ago, and it's because I was tracking everything. And I said, look, man, I'm sorry, but this is just not working out for you or me. So this is what's going to have to take place. And it's because it was on the tracking system, on my VTO, core values were not aligned anymore, many different reasons. And that person understood, and he's like, yeah, no problems, man. I'm grateful, and let's move on.
Cool. Awesome, man. So, man, I appreciate you being here, man. Really enjoyed the conversation, really enjoyed hearing your story. And yeah, where can people find more of you? Where can people find about like your real estate, entrepreneurs, mastermind, and events, and everything that you do?
RicardoRosales.com, or look me up on Facebook, follow my page. I can't accept more friends, like I'm maxed out. And on Instagram, DM me. That's how you found me. And it took me a while to respond, but because usually it's not me responding, it's one of my assistants.
Okay.
But they'll kind of like filter it out, and they said, hey, this guy wants you on the podcast. Or I'll say, okay, let's see who it is. And I saw your profile and I liked it. I said, yeah, let's do it. He looks young and I love it. I like to support young guys like yourself that are coming up, and I wish, like I said, I wish I would have started when I was your age. So kudos to you, man. So yeah, just Instagram, IG, Facebook, and my YouTube channel. That's where I'm focused. 99% of my efforts right now is on my YouTube channel. Just go, there's a lot of free information there, a free podcast, courses, things that I've done throughout the years. That's in YouTube, and you can learn a lot about what I do there. So
awesome. We'll put all those links wherever this appears, man. And thank you, man. So look, you alluded to earlier how like being in masterminds and surrounding yourself with high level people has like changed your life. And so just like you, like I don't like to work with newbies, right? Like if I sell them a course, like a do-it-yourself course, they usually don't take action. So like I just work with people who are committed at a high ticket. So for the Ricardo Rosales episode, just for this episode, for anyone who's committed out there and like is an action taker, I'm going to like get a link. It's going to have your last name, your Ricardo Rosales at the end. I don't remember how the link is called, but it will take people on a free training A to Z on how to start, grow, launch, build, monetize, and automate a multi-million-dollar network building podcast. And man, it's going to be really awesome. For just for this episode, a special link just for this episode. And if people actually take action, they'll start the podcast in less than 30 days. So awesome. Yeah. And thank you very much for being here, man. And I'll see you later.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms